solving the problem of if young people need to get a mortgage, where they're going to get a deposit. That's where Genie came from.
What Genie enables consumers to do is buy their own home, but without the need for a mortgage or a deposit.
So the idea that Gen2 have come up with through the Genie product is really creative, and it's definitely something that at the moment Londoners can't do.
Genie's a financial product we've created to allow people to access having their own home or owning their own home without a mortgage product. So we sought to find a solution that took the requirement for a deposit away and allowed people to access a decent home rather than rent a home.
Genie is a home purchase plan. Very simply, people make one monthly payment. Every time people make a payment, they accrue a share in their home. At the end of the contract, which currently is targeted at 30 years, they will own their home outright. There's lots of people who want housing and not enough supply, and for those people who do want to own their own home, there are big barriers to face, including securing a mortgage and saving for a deposit.
The Mayor of London's been very clear that he wants to double house building in the capital. We're experiencing an unprecedented population growth, and whilst that brings with it many fantastic things for this great city, it does bring with it a huge and increasing pressure around housing. The Genie product, something which had been tested by Gen2 in the northeast of England, is something which we think is really exciting and really suitable for a London market where for many people the aspiration is to own a home, but the reality is that they will never be able to raise the deposit to do so.
It's the fact that it's giving you an opportunity to own your own home without the stresses of the mortgage company trying to find a deposit, putting it all together whilst you're renting. It just seems much more of an easy process, and if you are lucky enough to have a deposit to put into the house, then you can still put that deposit in and it'll still go towards sort of your share of the house.
People may ask where the Genie product fits into our philosophy. Our view of that is there needed to be a product which recognised through our values an ethical approach to particularly young excluded people accessing housing that allowed them to have a life, an art of living and acquire a home. At some point when we first started this, it was quite clear that lots of young people were giving up their life simply to own a home. And so Gen2's philosophy about having a rounded art of living requires this part of the story to be answered properly.
I've been living in London for roughly a year and a half. When I moved to London, I found housing very difficult. The cost of renting, for example, almost 3 times what I used to pay. The standard of properties as well are much lower quality for the price you pay.
When I first moved to London, I found getting accommodation quite tough. I used a website where I was looking for housemates, and even that was competitive. It took me a long time to finally find a house and housemates to live with here in London. My accommodation situation at the moment is fine. It's not massive, my bedroom's tiny, and I pay a lot of money for it.
I lived in London for 15 years, therefore I have been renting for 15 years in London. My partner and I have talked about putting some money aside, but it would take us a long time, even with our combined wages. So we've talked about it, but at the moment it's not possible.
So the idea is that we'll have a 10-year investment agreement with Gen2 that will see 2,000 homes built over a decade. So that's a model that's very attractive to us. It's a model which means that more homes will be built, and therefore more Londoners will have the opportunity to benefit from the Genie product.
The relationship with the GLA is very strong, and they've been very supportive. Not only are they obviously providing funding for us to help us get established in London, but they're also helping us secure sites, working in partnership with us to promote the product. So they've been really important partners to us establishing ourselves in London.
I think Genie is a good idea because for someone like me, I can't depend on my parents for financial support, so it offers a really useful and quite straightforward solution to getting yourself on the property ladder.
Genie would help me stay in London, and I really want to live here and own a property.
The Genie scheme, it would give us an option to look into having our own property. Yes, definitely.
A product that simply doesn't exist in the capital at the moment, but is exactly the sort of thing we do need, so that there's more choice for Londoners.
Housing needs a bit more variation. It can't be quite as limited as it's been into the future. And we think it provides a really ethical, affordable alternative for people to access a great standard of housing and have a reasonable and decent art of living.
Definitely think it would help a lot of people here in London. There are a lot of people like me, but for us there's just no way to do it. So for me, Genie sounds like a really good solution, setting out on that journey to owning a home.
It's the fact that it's giving you an opportunity to own your own home, and I'm getting something back for what I'm putting in.